There can literally be nothing more frustrating than following your nutrition plan perfectly, ticking all the boxes in terms of cardio and training, doing everything perfectly, and still not getting the results. Why do weight loss plateaus happen, and what do we do about it? The most common issue is what we call adaptive thermogenesis. And this is not something that we can really truly avoid. It is a biological function where when we're in a deficit for a prolonged period of time, our body diminishes the amount of energy that we require to just survive and live throughout the day. So that has a net impact on what your basal metabolic rate is. Therefore, in order to continue making progress and continue losing body fat, we need to either cut down on caloric intake or increase expenditure. Ideally, doing both. Now, obviously this can't happen ad infinitum because then eventually you're going to be eating nothing and you're going to waste away, which is why strategically the use of diet breaks and refeed days are there to keep you well fueled so you can train adequately, so you can recover adequately, but continue pursuing your fat loss goals. Number two is not really a reason why weight loss stalls, but a reason why people think weight loss stalls. We can have a variety of different inputs from training related fatigue, fatigue related to stress, hormonal fluctuations, for example, like females during their menstrual cycle, where there is a big increase in inflammation, water retention, and you are in fact losing body fat, you are just not seeing it reflected on the scale. So ideally, when you are either coaching yourself or you have a coach, you want to be tracking sufficient data that if you see outlying numbers, hey, I'm doing everything right, the scale isn't moving down, you want to be able to adequately clarify, is this related to adaptive thermogenesis, or is your true progress simply being masked by transient water retention or bloating, higher sodium consumption, poor sleep, undulating fiber intake, etc. As a very general rule of thumb, you never want to be decreasing food unnecessarily, because then you are cutting down your runway in terms of the results that you can make, and you are in turn driving adaptive thermogenesis when you don't need to. Number three is going to be legitimate hormonal shifts. And as much as people don't like to acknowledge it, this is going to be an invariable part of the process, especially when you are dealing with athletes that are taking things to extremes. The more aggressively you diet, the leaner you get, and the more regularly you do that, the more likely you are to see attenuation to thyroid function, as well as basic endocrinology, testosterone, and then in females, estradiol and progesterone being low, potentially becoming estrogen dominant, being more predisposed towards storing abdominal fat, insulin sensitivity and nutrient partitioning being skewed. So, of course, there is stuff we can do about this. First pass is to not make your dietary interventions overly aggressive. The more aggressive they are, the faster you try and get this done, the more you are going to open yourself up to these negative hormonal attenuations. But if you do experience them, and again, there is individual variability here, some people are going to be more predisposed than others. The only way you're going to find this out, and guys, I've seen this play out so many times where somebody feels like they are banging their head against a brick wall, doing everything and not seeing the results. Get your lab work done. Understand where those markers are sitting and understand the true impact that hormonal function can have on your metabolic health, and not only in your ability to lose body fat, but just have a good quality of life and have energy and recover well and wake up feeling good in the mornings. Get the lab work done, because if you know where this is coming from, it is very easily addressed, and also addressed in a way that is very safe with oversight from a physician. And then finally, and this unfortunately is a very common culprit, is that you think you're doing everything that you need to, but you're not really. And this is not about dishonesty. This is about a misunderstanding in terms of tracking food, following a meal plan, etc. We know, and we have the studies to show that people drastically underreport their own intake. Subconsciously, they do it. They forget about little bites and snacks that they have throughout the day. They forget to report the calorie-containing beverages, the sauces, the condiments, the marinades, the dinner that they had on the weekend. You know, the very common example is somebody saying, hey, I was perfect 6 days and I only had one off-plan meal on Saturday. Not realizing that their one off-plan meal was 3,000-4,000 calories, something that took them out of the deficit for the entire week. So if you're working with a coach, or even if you're working by yourself, be open to feedback and truly ask yourself the question, am I doing everything that I need to? Am I tracking every damn thing that I'm putting into my mouth? Am I looking at every food label? Am I making sure that I'm tracking this accurately? And am I truly understanding the impact that off-plan meals, alcohol, restaurants, etc. can have? Once you have addressed that and you know that you're doing everything right, look at the other 3 reasons, assess what's going wrong. Guys, we're dealing with human physiology here. There's always going to be a reason. And if you have a good and responsible coach and you are tracking the right amounts of data, you will always be able to find what that reason is and go ahead and smash your goal.